Pretty major disaster for the Marvels. Its current cinema score is tied with Eternals, Ant-Man 3 as the lowest in MCU history. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. We'll take a look at Rotten Tomatoes as well. So as you can see here, the Rotten Tomatoes score, I mean, this is funny, right? So 62%, 264 reviews. Audience score is 85%. The audience score actually doesn't really matter if no one else goes out and watches it, which seems to be the case, which is quite funny. Also, when you go to top critics, still rotten. So that's funny, I think, personally. And if you get all audience, 72%. So there are some funny things to kind of consider when we take a look at all of this. And when you look at the likes of the Marvels as well, for instance, it's important to note, actually, when you look at Morbius, there's a good comparison, because people always go, yeah, but its audience score's so good. Yeah, Morbius was dog shit. No one went out to watch it. That still had a good audience score. That had a great audience score. I mean, yeah, like... You see? You see what matters? Context matters. But anyway, thought we'd have a look at that. It's funny. This film honestly can't catch a break. It did terrible on Thursday night previews. This will have probably it'll probably have the lowest box office for MCU history, genuinely. Currently, Thursday night previews were worse than a film that was available for free the same day over on Disney Plus, Black Widow. So that says something. And all those sticking your fingers in your ears going, no, not listening. You're an idiot. It says something, guys. It says that generally people are not interested in this film. It just is what it is. So Marvel Studios' 33rd movie. You know what? I think that's part of it. I think the fact that you've got 33 movies out and a decline in quality, it's got something to do with it, guys. 33 films. 33. That's a lot of tripe to wade through. And pretty mixed reviews. You know, like I said, we've covered the fact that it's climbed to a fresh status. And actually, still is not fresh when you're looking at it on top critics. Top critics, it's rotten. I mean, it's rotten. So that's important to note as well. 85% audience score. Was it still 85%? Yeah, it's still 85%. That's fine. Indicated that moviegoers were at least somewhat more receptive to Captain Marvel sequel than critics. It's funny because we never hear that said about Morbius. Like, near enough everyone's just like, yeah, Morbius was shit. I don't understand why this doesn't get the same treatment. It's unusual. Well, I do know why. It's an inbuilt bias, of course. So the film's cinema score tells a different story. Cinema score is literally people being polled as they come out, right? So it received a B from polled audience members. That's really bad. That is genuinely really, really bad. So the Marvels ties with Eternals, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania as the lowest in MCU history. But it's also important to note it had worse Thursday night previews than Eternals and Ant-Man and the Wasp. So if you're weighing up all the metrics to go by, it is tied with those movies as the worst in MCU history, but it had worse Thursday night previews. It means that the word of mouth is not going to carry it over to hit. I genuinely don't think it will hit anywhere near those numbers that those films did. And that logic does carry out. So it's not good. Cinema scores don't automatically sound the death knells for a movie. No. But that logic that I've just covered, I mean, I bet you anything it'll bear out. But it does support the argument that general audiences are simply losing interest in the franchise of Marvel, which is true. The latest box office projections also indicate that the Marvels could end up with one of the lowest opening weekends in history. Yeah. I wouldn't say just the lowest. It'll probably end up one of the, probably the all-time worst. Not one of the lowest. It will be the worst in the history of the MCU. And this will be more than likely worse than The Flash. Thursday night previews are worse than The Flash. I don't know whether the cinema score is worse than The Flash, but Thursday night previews are. And if you're just comparing it for other Marvel products, word of mouth carry these films if they have shit opening weekends. If they have bad opening weekends and bad word of mouth, they will crater second weekend. Absolutely crater. So, not good. But yeah, I mean, I ask you, do you think general audiences have just lost interest in Marvel? What do you think? Drop it down below. So the latest box office projections, blah, 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 covered that. So here's some of the cinema scores. The Avengers, A+. Black Panther, A+. Endgame, A+. No Way Home, A+. Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, all A's. Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Homecoming, Ragnarok, all A's. And there's quite a lot of A's here, to be fair. I mean, even Shang-Chi got an A. It says volumes, I think, personally. I think a lot of people are being much more discerning about what they go and watch. I mean, look, Thor Love and Thunder got a B+, for goodness sake. A B+. Quantumania is B. I mean, there's a lot that signify this film is going to get very, very, very bad. And this is funny, like, even this website, comicbookmovie.com, their review's hilarious. Their review is like, oh, it might be some of the best time you'll have at the theatre this year. Yeah, if that's the only movie you've seen, for goodness sake. If that's the only movie you see this entire year, yeah, it probably will be the most fun you've had. But to all those pointing to Rotten Tomatoes, important to look at top critics versus all critics. That matters a lot, I think, personally. And it's important to not get too hung up on the audience score. Because again, if you look at the all audience rather than just verified, the all audience is very low. Well, lower anyway. 72% is not great. 3.6 out of 5. That's mid at best. Mid to positive, but still mid. And again, it's important to not get too hung up on this, because significantly worse movies have had very similar audience scores. A case in point, Morbius, which is absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. I reckon this movie will struggle to do $100 million this weekend, domestic. There's my hot prediction. And if it doesn't hit $100 million this weekend, I honestly think it will do about $50 million at a push, I reckon. That's my prediction. $50 million at a push this weekend. It's dead. It's dead. It's absolutely dead. And that's why we see Marvel scrambling, trying to correct their other projects, because they realise that they've completely jumped the shark.